So we've got this wedding to go to, and it's not just any wedding, it's a 3-day Indian wedding. So it's big, it's flamboyant, it's flashy, and I just don't have anything to wear. I mean, I think the last time I got dressed up was for my own wedding 6 years ago. So I need to come up with a plan, and I need to come up with a plan fast because this wedding is at the end of September. And there's certain considerations I need to take with whatever I'm wearing. So there's three main criteria that these outfits for this wedding need to fit. One is they need to be practical. I'm going to be driving in them. I'm going to be obviously moving around a lot. I will be helping my husband, who is the best man and is also visually impaired, to do certain tasks. I also will have my son for at least one of the days. So again, I've got to be able to move easily within these garments. It needs to be comfortable because Indian weddings are long. They are long, drawn out affairs. Absolutely amazing to go to. Brilliant, great. But they are long. So I need to be comfortable. I don't do not being comfortable in my own clothes. It makes me stressed. It makes me anxious. I'm very sensory with my clothes. So my clothes need to be comfortable. And they also need to be durable. As I've mentioned, my little boy will be with us for at least one of the days. I know one of the days is at school. The other day he might just decide he doesn't want to go, and that's fine. I probably won't go either. But it needs to be durable because my little boy gets anxious in certain social situations. So he will be holding onto my clothing. He will be climbing on me. He will need to be really, really close. He's like a little limpet, bless him. He can't help it. It's who he is. So they need to be durable. So where to a normal Indian wedding, if my son wasn't there, I'd probably wear a sari. I can't do that at this wedding because saris come undone easily. And I don't want that to happen. So if my son pulls on my clothes, I could end up with my sari coming undone. And also, sari's not very practical when it comes to the driving I've got to do and all the other tasks. And they're not very comfortable either. So the plan is to make 3 outfits that are practical, comfortable, and durable. I want them to be Indian inspired because it is a big Indian wedding. It's quite a special event. We know the couple quite closely. So I would like to upcycle saris within these outfits. So let's see what I can design. So for my first outfit, excuse my little quick sketch here, I'm going to be making a circle skirt that incorporates a sari that will go up and over the shoulder. So there'll be a bottom liner layer to the skirt, and then obviously the sari material will wrap around the skirt, make up a sort of overlaying panels, and then come up and over the shoulder. And with this, I'll also be making a suitable top that's got bell sleeves, so it's nice and loose and light and airy, so you're not going to get hot and stuffy in a big haul. And I'll figure out some decorations for around the neckline and things. So the sari for this skirt has arrived. As you can see, it's long, as all saris are. The green piece at the end would be the piece for making the blouse, if you're going to make a blouse with it, but I'm probably not going to use that, or I might use some of the embroidery on it. But yeah, nice, bright, colourful. And let me show you the embroidery. So yeah, it's got this fabulous embroidery all the way along it, particularly on this end piece, which is the piece that would normally go over the shoulder. So I've got to figure out the best way to cut this and use this within the skirt. But yeah, it's really, really nice. I'm really, really pleased with it. I'm just hanging it out so it can freshen because it's obviously been in storage for quite a long time. So it smells a little bit fusty, as anything does if it's been sat in an airing cupboard for months on end. But yeah, that's the sari. Let's get the underskirt cut now. So having spent 3 billion years sellotaping this pattern together, I've become aware of another problem with it. Besides taking 3 billion years to stick together, which is a given with this PDF patterns, it's meant to be US sized, this pattern. So in US sizes, I'm a UK 16 to 18. Yes, I know, I'm big. That would be a US size 14-ish. I've just rechecked my measurements because I've been losing a bit of weight. And there is no way on this earth that this pattern is actually US sized, because if it was US size, there would be extra sizes above what I want, and there isn't. So I would actually say this is Asian sized. So when I come to use this pattern, obviously I'm going to be tracing it off anyway, but I'm going to be tracing it down, and then I've got to make additional adjustments for size. And I'm guessing I'm going to have to do the same with the top as well, because it's from the same person. You know, when you do something to try and save time, remind yourself this probably isn't going to save you any time at all. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Simple jobs are never as simple as they seem. All good fun. Let's crack on. So I've got the pattern pieces finally sorted out, and to be honest with you, I learned a great lesson with this, which is just make the pattern yourself, because by the time I did all the adjustments and everything else, I may as well have just made the pattern myself. But anyway, swiftly moving on, I've got some amazing fabric for the underskirt of this sari skirt thing that I'm making, and this is it. Isn't it beautiful? It's like a satin rainbow. So now I've got all my pieces, it's time to get pinning and cutting, start getting this this skirt together. So now I've got the underskirt cut and the waistband cut. I'm going to get these pieces pressed. I need to add some stabilizers to the waistband to obviously just make it that bit more strong, because it's too soft at the moment for the waistband. And then I will start draping the sari to the shape of this underskirt piece, because I want to keep the amazing embroidery that's on the sari intact. So what I'll have to do is pleat the sari to get it into the circle shape as I go, and for that I'm going to need more space to do it, because there's just not enough room in here. So we'll be moving across into our living room. So I've decided to hem the skirt before I drape the sari to it, just so I get the exact length that it's going to be finished at, because obviously with the embroidery at the bottom of the sari, any trimming I need to do needs to be done at the top. So I'm going to be using this beautiful yellow Florini, it's actually an embroidery thread that I've got, to hem this skirt, and then we'll be able to get on with getting the sari draped to this skirt. So as you can see, I've got my mannequin set up in order to drape this sari, just because it's going to make the whole job a little bit easier. Excuse my living room, this is not normally shown on TV, but here we are. Welcome to my house. So the first thing I've done, I've already done the shoulder drape for this sari. So this is the piece that will go up and over the shoulder when I'm wearing the skirt. And then I'm bringing it down and round, and I will bring it in so that it will incorporate into the side seam of the skirt here. And then I will cut this off, because obviously that's going to get stitched into place later. And once I've got this piece sorted, I'm then going to start draping the sari around the underskirt, and pleating and getting it so we know how it's going to hang in relation to the underskirt underneath. I haven't done the side seam on the skirt yet, because I've not needed to. I'm going to be obviously stitching this sari into the side seams as I go to create the skirt. But yeah, that's basically the plan. I'm kind of making this up as I go along. So yeah, here goes. So I've kind of draped the sari to the skirt. I've got a lot of excess fabric here at the back, so I will need to incorporate some pleats into the skirt as I go. I will figure out how to do that. But I'm almost happy with the positioning, with the length of the sari to the underskirt. I have got a lot of excess fabric, so I'll need to trim this off next, and then I need to look into doing all the pleating, which will take a bit of time. This is something that's turning into something a bit more of a job than I thought it would be, but you know, it'll be worth it in the end. It'll all be good. So now I've got the sari all draped. I've got it, obviously this is a shoulder piece. I've pinned in the pleats that will be sewn into the side seam. This is the skirt, this is the pleats at the front of the skirt. Then obviously I've draped it to the back, so it's all sort of to length. I'm now going to tack stitch the pleats in, and also tack stitch the sari onto the coloured underskirt, so then I can get it all sewn together. Okay, so I've tack stitched the sari to the underskirt piece here, so I'm just going to run along and stitch those two together. I've then got to add the waistband, the zip, finish the underskirt together, and then obviously the sari skirt piece needs stitching together as well, including the zip. So yeah, let's get this job finished. You'll see I'm going to start a little bit away from the end of here because, like I say, I've got to fit a zip into this, and also I've got to stitch obviously the underskirt together, so I need my seam allowance to be pretty free on this part. So I'm going to start from here and then get this all put together. So I like to keep things real on here, as most of you guys know. But yeah, I'm trying to do the waistband on this and it keeps twisting and it's so annoying. But so I'm going to have to unpick everything I've done so far with the waistband, and then I need to restitch it on and try and get it to sit how I want it to sit. But it gives you an idea of the colours and how they'll come together. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. But right now I'm learning new swear words. I have to admit, this is so frustrating. But yep, let's keep it real. Let's get this unpicked and let's redo it all. So I unpicked the entire waistband. I've redone one side of it and I've pinned it to within an inch of its life. So hopefully it will hold in place while I stitch this down. Because what I want to do is obviously stitch this soft fabric down up against the waistband to give it a nice finish and also to really hold that waistband together. So hopefully when I do this now, with the number of pins that are in here, it won't pucker and it won't twist. So let's get this sewn and see what it does. So on this occasion, with this skirt, I'm going to be hand sewing the zip in. There's a couple of reasons for me doing that. Some of it's just simply how the fabric is behaving. And also I am actually waiting for a zipper foot for my machine. Trying to get different feet for this machine is a bit of a pain in the posterior, but that's a different story altogether. But anyway, I'm going to hand stitch the zip in so I know that the placement is absolutely perfect for what I want. And then we're going to look at bringing the side seams together of this skirt, and then that's it. It will be done. So now I need to make a top to go with the skirt. I did have a sewing pattern that I downloaded, but the sizing on it is so bad. By the time I've adjusted it, I may as well draw the pattern out myself, and I haven't got time for that. So what I've got here is a slightly stretchy t-shirt that's quite a close fit on my body. And I'm going to use this to make my pattern. Now, there are some adjustments I want to make to this. So I want to change the neckline. I want it to be a little bit lower, a little bit wider. I want the sleeves to be longer by about 2 inches. So it goes down to close to my elbows. The body length is fine because it's going to be tucked into the skirt that I've made. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually make it out of this bright pink fabric, stretchy fabric that I found within my stash. For the main body, because I want it to have a bit of stretch to it. I want it to be comfortable. And then I've got this Saree blouse here. It's the only Saree blouse I own. I've worn it a couple of times, but the way this is stitched is absolutely abysmal, to put it bluntly, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the trimmings off of this. So the little diamantes from around the neck, the gold pieces from around the cuff, and I might even be able to use these spangly dangly bits somewhere because I really like these little sort of bells, and I'm going to use these along with my new hot stoning tool to add a bit of bling to the top that I'm going to make that will go with the skirt. So the first thing I'm going to do before I start slicing this to pieces is I'm going to mark the adjusted neckline, because it's actually easier to do while this garment is complete. So I've marked roughly where I want the new neckline to be. So now I'm going to start deconstructing this garment, because once it's deconstructed, I can then make the adjustments I need to the sleeves. So I've now got this t-shirt deconstructed. This is the back piece, this is the front, and these are the two sleeves. I will only be using one sleeve for the pattern piece, because the sleeves on either side should be identical and identical lengths anyway. Like I say, I want to add an extra couple of inches onto the end of these sleeves, which I will do in a moment. You will notice when I was cutting everything out that I removed the seam allowances, excuse me for my little bloop there. And the simple reason for that is that there's no point in even attempting to save these seam allowances. You know, you can spend hours unpicking these and you still have something that's pretty unusable. And I will just, you know, draw in the extra seam allowance when I'm transferring, obviously, the pattern onto the fabric that I'm going to make the end garment out of. These seam allowances are very small because they've been overlocked, so they've been trimmed as they've been stitched anyway. So, you know, it's not even worth attempting to try and work to what the seams are that were within this garment. So now I'm going to make the adjustments I need to make to the sleeves. So I'm going to unroll some of my pattern paper, like so. Put that off there. For the eagle-eyed of you, you will realise that this is in fact just white baking parchment. It's just as good as sewing pattern paper, and it's significantly cheaper. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pin this onto here, and then we're going to get it measured out and get it cut. So I've got my trims, I've got my pattern pieces, I've got my fabric. Let's make this happen. So I'm now ready to start sewing this together. I'm going to be using French seams on this just because I think it will give a much nicer finish. But before I start, I need to change my needle. So if you are stitching stretchy fabrics like this, this particular machine, obviously it's an industrial machine, it takes DPX5 needles, and these are ballpoint needles. Now you can get ballpoint needles for domestic sewing machines as well. They might be marked as jersey, they might be marked as stretch, but obviously whenever you're doing a stretch fabric, make sure you use a suitable needle. So are you ready for this, folks? Ta-da! I love how the skirt fits. It's really comfortable on the waist. It's not going to come down if a little person starts yanking on it. I love the colours. On the day, I don't know whether I'm going to leave this just over my arm like this because it might get in the way of doing things, or whether I'll pin it up on the shoulder. No, me, I'll pin it up on the shoulder. I've tried to keep the top quite simple because there is so much going on with this sari, and I think the two really complement each other well. You know, I wanted a longer t-shirt because normal sari blouses, for me, they're too short. I'm sorry, I don't like exposing, you know, my tummy bits. I'm very self-conscious about, obviously, my body. But yeah, I love it. I love the fit. I love the feel. It's bright, it's vibrant, it's full of colour. And I'm really looking forward to being able to wear this. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Do you like the idea? Would this be something you would consider? You know, is it something you've never even thought of? Creating a skirt dress out of a sari? But yeah, I need to make one more garment now.
Subscribe. 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 Subscribe.